The smell of burning methaqualone brings me back to 2013, when I sat on this very couch in the company of a gangster, a dealer, and a few white pipe enthusiasts. I've been fascinated by psychoactive drugs my whole life. I love to study their chemistry and impact on society. And my work has allowed me to investigate extraordinary substances around the world. Yet there are still mysteries that remain. But it was here that I found myself on the scent of a trail that would lead me to one of the most astonishing drug mysteries I've ever encountered. This is the story of the South African Quaalude. I've always been fascinated by methaqualone, a drug that was once sold in the United States under the brand name Quaalude. But it's a difficult drug to research because it's all but disappeared, with one notable exception: South Africa. I traveled there in 2013 because it's the last place on Earth it's still used. What I found transcended the drug and its use. Good to meet you. I learned the unique history of the South African Quaalude is inextricably linked to a secret government program. But I'll go into that later. After my first visit in 2013, I analyzed some samples and was surprised to find they contained not only methaqualone, but also diphenhydramine, a combination that mimics the original pharmaceutical formulation sold under the brand name Mandrax. I was surprised the manufacturers had such dedication to tradition. 3 years later, I decided to return to fully understand the methaqualone distributed on the streets. I started in Soweto, one of the first places I encountered the drug. What's going on?
Right now,
Hamilton.
2016.
This is a Mandrax, this one.
Yeah.
When you smoke Mandrax, you use this thing, this pipe. We call it a pipe.
Right.
Yeah.
You also see how we do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the process you used. Because Mandrax is sold as a tablet, it requires special preparation to be smoked. First, a glass bottle is broken at the neck and stuffed with a cotton filter. The filter is covered with a blanket of tobacco and low-grade cannabis. A Mandrax tablet is wrapped in paper and chewed. And the powder is transferred into a bottleneck, which is referred to as a white pipe.
See what happens when you smoke? Your body gets weak.
Just pass out.
When methaqualone is taken orally, the user experiences muscle relaxation and a sense of calm disinhibition. But when the drug is smoked, its rapid onset and increased potency produce a rushing euphoria and, in high doses, total loss of consciousness. How do you feel right now?
I feel high over the moon. My problems are gone.
When you have smoke, things happen. You get dizzy, you feel tired, you even sleep right there. You can sleep standing.
You will see the guy standing like this.
Never fall.
The way the drug's currently used in South Africa would be unrecognizable to the American users of the 1970s. Americans recall Quaalude with a rosy nostalgia, a drug sold by pharmaceutical companies as a non-addictive alternative to barbiturates. It was a relaxing drug, a love drug that promoted dance and uninhibited sexuality. But it became too popular for its own good, and restrictions on sale and prescription were soon followed by total prohibition in the United States. Prohibition rarely dissuades drug use or manufacture, but methaqualone was a rare case. The high dose required for users to achieve a desirable effect placed an extraordinary burden on clandestine manufacturers, who needed large quantities of carefully watched precursor chemicals in order to turn a small profit. Some people believe the enduring popularity of methaqualone in South Africa is a result of trade sanctions imposed on the apartheid regime, which left the country in a state of economic and cultural isolation. Others believe it was a product of secret government experiments. Have any of you all heard of Wouter Besson?
What?
Wouter Besson?
What? It's a drug or it's a what?
He was a doctor. He was a doctor people thought brought mandrax onto the street in South Africa.
We never heard of it. You are not following the history of drugs. We are just smoking.
If there's one name to know in the history of South African mandrax, it's Wouter Besson. In 1999, Besson was put on trial for his involvement in a secret chemical and biological warfare program, codenamed Project Coast. Besson claims to have weaponized street drugs like MDMA, LSD, and most prominently, mandrax. He planned to use these drugs for crowd control purposes in the event of an anti-apartheid uprising. Yet the exact nature of Besson's crowd control technique remains uncertain. Talk to you later. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time. It's great meeting you. Thanks a lot. Dearest Wouter, I am an American journalist writing a story about the dismissal of your application for a recusal hearing. I think the charges against you amount to little more than a witch hunt, and I'd like to write a story that allows your perspective on this case to reach the international media. I had the pleasure of attending a talk you gave in 2013 and was impressed by the candor of your speech.
So daar's hier 'n spektrum van hierdie middels en die hoof van die weermag het 'n opdrag gegee dat ons sal 3 van daai middels maak wat nie dodelik is nie, wat inkapasiteerend is. Want net die vyand vir die verhoor om die oorlog klaar te voer ontneem.
When can we schedule a time to meet? Your admirer, Hamilton Morris. Do you think your admirer is too much? Your friend? On the outskirts of Johannesburg, I met with Jenny Wild, a human rights lawyer who stood up against the apartheid government to expose the drug research of Project Coast.
Project Coast was a very large-ranging project. It involved the creation of biochemical weapons. It involved the reduction or strategies to reduce the black population of South Africa, probably the most serious component, really. And chemicals, drugs, narcotics were deliberately synthesized by the apartheid regime in order to incapacitate people. The tragedy being that they were doctors and medical people. But then again, you must remember apartheid really didn't have any scruples at all when it came to its survival. And there were things that went on in this country during that time that makes the Nazis, frankly, appear like a Sunday school picnic.
Beyond the weaponization of methaqualone, Project Coast scientists claim to have bred super wolf guard dogs, kept black mambas to poison political opponents, and plan to administer anti-fertility drugs to black women under the guise of vaccination.
When I started as an advocate, I began to come into contact with people who were becoming mandrax addicts. Addicts went from 0 to 850,000 over a very short space of time behind a barbed wire fence of apartheid.
Mandrax abuse is a way of life in Cape Flats, a ghetto created by the apartheid government as a home for the so-called colored communities of Greater Cape Town. I traveled there to meet with Baba, a mandrax dealer I befriended in 2013.
Hi, how are you, my friend?
Hey,
all right.
good
It's
to
nice.
see you.
Nice meeting you again, man. Glad you're here in Cape Town. When was it last year? 2 years, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
And the whole place was upside down here. Yeah.
Is this the same place?
The same place, yeah.
You had so many people here smoking mandrax.
This is the time when I was selling the stuff was here, man.
Where was the window where people would come through?
No, that's the server. Just open the window, serve through the window.
They're coming to buy shit through the window. That's the financial director there.
You must buy this now. It's the best in the West.
You don't do that anymore?
No, I don't sell it anymore. At first, we drink it. We drink it, we put it in a wine, and it dissolves, we just drink it. But after that, we found out that, hey, you can smoke this stuff, man. Just crush it in a paper and not smoke it now, man. See, there's not the effect of the button is very good, man. Work in your brain, open up your mind.
How you feeling? Doing all right?
Come with the candy.
No.
Just keep it there. Make everything to smoke.
This is a good thing for the heart, for everything, for high blood, for low blood. Take the pain away. I'm 63 now. 63.
How do you feel? Do you feel sleepy?
As they feel like this, they want to smoke more. They mustn't sleep, they must smoke.
The user feels an initial rush of intoxication where their body goes slack and they may briefly lose consciousness. But they rapidly regain their composure and within minutes are consuming more. It's this combination of rapid onset and short duration that makes smoked methaqualone so addictive.
You're okay.
I'm good, yeah. I think I'm getting a little bit secondhand right now.
I can see.
How you know my bro? My lawyer, my producer, my CEO. You my everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you just from here, you where to now?
We're gonna go with some abalone poachers later today, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you poaching too?
Do you think I should poach?
I don't say you must do it, but it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
For everyone.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous, my bro.
What's dangerous?
I won't tell you a bit of a lie. Abalone is very dangerous.
What's dangerous?
What is dangerous about abalone?
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff with abalone.
A species of South African abalone, known as Haliotis medae, has an iridescent shell with a row of small holes through which water escapes after aerating the gills. The shell protects the gill and viscera from most, but not all, marine predators. This endangered species is the most sought-after marine delicacy in the country. As savage winds blew over the Cape, I traveled to a nearby seafood restaurant where I had arranged a dinner with a mandrax boss who might have some insight into the unexpected connection between this sea snail and a discontinued pharmaceutical hypnotic.
Welcome to Panama Jack's. I'm going to be your waiter this evening. Can I get you guys to eat?
What you prefer?
I think we should have the abalone.
The abalone. Yeah, I agree with him. I'll have it. Let's have it, sure. Enjoy.
Though this restaurant caters to a niche market for legally harvested abalone, I'm here to learn about the other side of the abalone trade.
There's a lot of poachers in South Africa that poach abalone. So they poach abalone and they sell it to the Asian people, Japanese, Chinese people, mostly. Abalone is not legal. You can't just go drive yourself It's against the fisheries law. Wow, the abalone, it looks good, man.
And then you get to take the shell home as a souvenir.
Ah, there's the shell I was speaking of.
Wow.
We make a prayer on this.
What do you mean?
Just pray to the Almighty and thank the Almighty for allowing us to have this.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's
Do that first.
You want to lead the prayer?
I think you should do that.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Thank you, God, for this tasty gastropod whose flesh is very rare and endangered, but supposedly very delicious. And thank you for granting me the opportunity to speak with my new friend over this tasty meal. It is going to be very enjoyable, I'm sure.
Thanks, amen. But as I say, this is the abalone that you find in the sea, which the Chinese people and the Japanese people are so fond of because they make money out of it. I'm enjoying it.
Very good. So I've read that mandrax is exchanged for abalone, or that the precursors to manufacture mandrax are exchanged for abalone. Could you tell me about that connection?
There we go. Junior mafias in Cape Town who had people who went to go poach with him, which means they went to go steal abalone out of the water and contact the Chinese, and when they come away, they see, hey, room packed with abalone. What goes through their mind? This is what we want. They don't want cash. Mandrax came into this harbor, Cape Town harbor, through the Chinese mafia, in exchange for abalone.
South African abalone is rarely consumed domestically. Instead, the snail is exported to the world's abalone consumption capital, China. The delicate flavor and chewy flesh of abalone is considered a status symbol and renowned for its supposed aphrodisiacal properties. The Chinese value South Africa's abalone as much as South Africans value Chinese N-acetyl-anthranilic acid, with each buyer possessing a commodity that's inexpensive in their respective countries. A mutually beneficial barter system emerges. So I went to meet with the men who rob South Africa's oceans of their most aphrodisiacal treat.
Hamilton, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, how are you?
And I'm fine, my friend. You're just in time, my friend.
That's where you put the abalone?
Yes, that is the one that I put the abalone in.
Oh, wow.
Speed up, guys. There we go. Are we all set? Ja, kap op, kap op.
With widespread poverty and few opportunities for employment, many citizens of Hout Bay can't resist the urge to plunder a precious shellfish that grows right on their doorstep. Do you have any friends that have died poaching abalone?
Yes, I got some couple friends.
How do people die poaching abalone?
Because sometimes when they go out on rubber boats and the boats got capsized, some of them drown.
What's the most amazing thing you've seen underwater?
Back there, where I came from, there was lots of mermaids, you see?
Mermaids?
Mermaids, my friend. We're gonna go into the backside of the harbor now.
How many times have you been to prison for abalone?
6, 7 times.
7 times?
Yes. So here we are now, and it's very quiet here. So we're gonna just make a quick dive here. You see?
It's very dark.
It's very dark, yes.
He's about to get into the water. He's hoping that he'll find some abalone. We'll see what happens. Above the water stood the lookout man. Below, 2 divers on a quest for the diamonds of the sea. Haliotis medae is a slow-growing creature that requires a decade to reach harvest size and almost as long to achieve sexual maturity. In the wild, it lives 30 years or longer if it isn't discovered by predators. The night was a success. The poachers were able to collect dozens of mature abalone and returned home to celebrate.
Now, it's ready to go to the freezer.
Do you ever trade the abalone directly for the mandrax?
Yes, with the Chinese guy.
Wow. Feeling relaxed?
Yes.
Abalone business, 50-50. Sometimes nice, sometimes bad.
You can't let this thing smoke you, man. You must smoke him.
And keep it.
This is stuff that I bought. I wanna let them test it for me. It's gonna make a lot of money on the street now. You see now, this is now the best one on the market now. The best one.
A combination of branding and tradition have ensured that mandrax is always sold in tablet form, despite the fact that it's far from ideal for smoking.
I've been doing the mandrax for like 28 years. Huh?
I've seen people collapse after smoking 5 or 6 consecutive hits, but that was only one hit, and it seems like some really strong stuff.
Yeah. This is a good drug. He knows what is quality and what.
Wat is dat dan nu? Bloed waar hoor je bloed in gaan? Nee, joh, dat is voor yes, yes, ja. Lekkie, ze bloei mee, broer. Niet bloei mee, broer.
This is what the stuff do. This is the strongest on the market now.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Where'd you get cut? Where'd you hit yourself?
I don't.
Less than 3 minutes ago, he was borderline unconscious, bleeding on the ground. Now he's singing and dancing and seems completely fine. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
You gotta take me to the hospital. This skinny guy.
I'm really curious what's in these tablets or how strong they are. One goal is certainly to enter a clandestine methaqualone lab. I've always wanted to see how these cooks create methaqualone. Today is the day that Nelson Mandela was released from prison. There are rumors that Wouter Besson had attempted to poison him with a substance that would give him cancer so that even after he was released, he would be unable to cause the downfall of the apartheid government. So I imagine that Wouter Besson is not actually celebrating this day. It resulted in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which brought to light all of the terrible crimes and all of the unethical medical and scientific research he was conducting. And I could imagine him being annoyed that I call him on this national holiday.
The subscriber you have dialed is not available at present. Please try again later. The subscriber you have dialed is not available at present. Please try again later. The subscriber you have dialed is not available at present. Please try again later.
All right. Well, I'm glad I thought anxiously about that for an hour before doing it. Because Voucher Basson isn't returning my phone calls or emails, I'm unable to find the answers I need for my investigation. What happened to the 2 metric tons of methaqualone that were manufactured for supposed crowd control? I headed to the South African History Archive to see what information I could dig from the remaining documents that have evaded destruction. I think we're going to want a lot of these digitized as well. The trial of Voucher Basson was one of the most expensive trials in the history of South Africa. There are thousands of pages of documents dedicated to investigating his crimes. Even though it's in Afrikaans, I can still make out the names of so many poisons in this writing. Thallium in bottles, VX, sarin, capsules of sodium cyanide, botulism in a beer can, 1 baboon fetus. There's evidence that a lot of methaqualone was manufactured. There's a lot of evidence that would suggest that it wasn't being used as a conventional chemical weapon or a crowd control device. So I'm hoping to meet with an analytical chemist named Etienne Van Zyl, who is responsible for analyzing the methaqualone that was produced under Project Coast. Hello.
Hi, Milton. Pleased to meet you again.
Good to meet you.
You can either view Basson as a soldier that fought on a government instruction, that did its utmost to fulfill his mission. His mission was to set up a chemical and biological program. But maybe there was excesses, maybe he did things for personal gain. Again, it's not, I cannot confirm that. I've tested chemicals that was seized following the dismantling of Project Coast. As a young forensic scientist, 1997, I was called in to test these substances. I saw lots of brown cardboard drums containing industrial scale chemicals, lots of it. So I've sampled the materials and I found out that these materials that were present at a front lab of the old government of South Africa could be used to make methaqualone. There were sufficient chemicals to make at least 3.5 million tablets. And the methaqualone was one of the substances that was manufactured with the intention of crowd control. Now, if you think about it, how can you control an unruly crowd with the methaqualone? You cannot fly over them and disseminate the methaqualone over the crowd. But possibly you can start by getting the crowd hooked on methaqualone. And if they are hooked on methaqualone, that very same crowd will become a more docile crowd.
And on top of that, Project Coast wasn't manufacturing methaqualone in a capacity that seems ideal for use in the conventional crowd control sense. They were pressing it into tablets.
I cannot confirm on that. I don't know if they made it into tablets or not. If it's manufactured into tablet, then it's manufactured for abuse at street level.
Voucher Basson claims to have developed a process for producing weaponized methaqualone tablets that he would load into grenades and mortars. Yet the idea of a grenade carrying a payload of tablets has left most scholars of Project Coast confused, unless the weaponized tablets were intended for human consumption. Chandra Gould is a leading authority on Project Coast, and her book, Secrets and Lies, is the definitive text on the crimes and subsequent trial of Voucher Basson.
There is a very strong suggestion that the mandrax was put into tablet form. Now, obviously, putting it into tablet form isn't consistent with using it for crowd control reasons. It's very difficult to know either whether those tablets made their way into the black market at all, whether they made their way into the black market in South Africa or elsewhere. So there's no clear indication of what happened to the mandrax. One of the characteristics of the chemical and biological weapons program is in fact the amount of freedom that Dr. Basson had to decide what was done and how it was done. Plausible deniability was built into every aspect of this program. And I think that is one of the things that's made it so difficult to unravel the truth.
It's very simple. They must just show me what I did wrong. That's easy. All they need to do is bring one single case of anybody that was either damaged and or hurt in this process, and I live with it. But nobody can do that. I mean, it's been 20 years that this is going on, and there's not a single scratch and or blue mark and or bruise on anybody that can be proven anywhere. So who did I damage and how?
Basson's methaqualone experiments are decades in the past, yet Mandrax remains one of the most widely used synthetic drugs in South Africa. In order to explain this strange phenomenon, I had to find the people responsible for manufacturing it. The cooks. On my last visit to South Africa, I went looking for a Mandrax kingpin. I started with the street dealers, and then moved up the chain to the street dealer's dealer, then played an aggressive game of pool with the dealer's dealer's dealer, then lost, then won, then lost again, then won. Then finally was introduced to a man who knew not only how to sell Mandrax, but how to make it.
Before you get into the manufacturing, you need to start at the sales. I think that's where my interest started.
Was the money?
Yeah. We are in Africa, it's a poor country, no?
Did you ever suspect during that period when you were first learning about Mandrax distribution that the government could have been involved?
It was obvious. There was no way. It was too big a project for an individual. It needs chemistry. You must order the machine for pressing, for manufacturing, you know who got the products to South Africa, who got the formula right. The only name that's put with Mandrax in South Africa is Basson. No other name is put to it.
And assuming these guys were part of the apartheid government, if that's what you're suggesting.
There was no way it could have hit the streets at that magnitude, at that time. They had to use black hands. And using those black hands leaked to the business.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it leaked to the business. I don't think that's what they intended. They just let the cat out of the bag and it landed in the wrong people and they used it as a business. A couple of people got rich from it and yeah, it hit the streets and it's a plague now. If he did it to destroy, thinking he's destroying the black nation, he did a bad job because it didn't do that. That didn't happen. It's not an open business for everyone. You need to know someone who's involved in it and you need to trust you. You need to blend in with the right people. That's what you do with your street cred. You gotta show you're a man, you're quite secretive, you can handle your own shit. And if someone is impressed with that, you in.
I started talking chemistry with Mr. Basil, and he invited me to have a look at his operation, even showing me some of the chemicals and equipment his cook would use the following day. Are these guys scary kinds of people, or is it like a pretty calm business?
It's not a calm business.
It's not calm?
It's scary.
Oh, they are, wow.
Yeah.
I woke up at 6 the next morning, prepared to see the lab I'd been waiting for, but instead was met with an unforeseen obstacle. So we came here to shoot inside a clandestine methacrylone lab, and even though we'd scheduled it for a certain time, they said that the chemist wasn't ready, and instead they wanted us to shoot a music video. We've already shot the bedroom scene. Now we're shooting a scene where we walk down the street together, singing the lyrics in unison. Do you think we could do that later tonight when it's dark, or did you want to do it now, or what is the...
I wanted to use this element of the...
Okay, I see. Okay, so let's do it now. Let's do it now. to incorporate this car skidding theme into the music video, and it's sort of a condition for us to do this before we can get into the methaqualone lab, so. Oh, man. All right. I was closing my jacket so that if the car bursts into flames, that I might have some protection. Our tire just exploded. This is really fun. It is like an amazing carnival ride. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to do it again. Just when I began to expect the lab was an elaborate ruse to get a free music video, I found myself in the back of a truck, which was loaded with 1 kilogram of N-acetyl-anthranilic acid and a liter of orthotoluidine. The same precursors that are illegally imported and exchanged for abalone. We're on our way to the Mandrax lab. The chemist is getting pH strips to monitor the reaction, and I guess once he has those, will be time to start the synthesis. We were secretly taken to an undisclosed location to finally see the lab. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you don't have to cover your whole face. Even you could just do half or something like that. Do you enjoy cooking it?
Yes, because I know when I'm finished cooking it, I have money.
All right, so show me how you do it.
Yeah, this is Ava. This is OT. We call it OT, it's autoloading.
Yeah.
I close it. I waited until it reaches temperature.
And are you worried about the fumes? Should we get away from it now while it's cooking? Do you know that this is toxic, the orthotoluidine? It's not good for you.
When I go to the toilet, there was blood.
There was blood in your...
Yeah. Because I was using this thing.
Blood in your urine?
Yeah.
You know it's known to cause bladder cancer.
Blood cancer?
Bladder cancer.
Okay.
Though the mechanism of the condensation is yet to be firmly established, it seems that inside the pot, as the temperature climbs toward 200 degrees Celsius, a reaction between the near equimolar quantities of orthotoluidine and N-acetyl-anthranilic acid begins with a carbonyl addition initiated by lone pair electrons on the toluidine amine, which generates a Zwitter ionic intermediate that, after a series of proton transfers from the ammonium cation and carboxylic acid, allows oxonium to leave as water. The water is removed by heat, driving an otherwise reversible reaction forward. An amidine intermediate undergoes a concerted cyclization, producing the quinazolinone after an additional proton transfer and the loss of a second oxonium as water, producing methaqualone. The smell is very strong. You can smell the orthotoluidine in the air. The cook is currently boiling off the water before he transfers the reaction mix into a tub. It smells like orthotoluidine, which smells like burning rubber, which smells like cancer. That's a cancer-y smell, I'd say. He's about to prepare methaqualone freebase with this bucket of aqueous sodium hydroxide. That's a smell I like.
Me, I don't like it. Make my body itch.
Makes you itchy. Do you ever smoke the material yourself?
No. Never smoke it.
The cook just added a concentrated sodium hydroxide solution to the crude reaction mixture that's liberating the methacrylone freebase as well as orthotoluidine freebase, and it's boiling, and it's a black tar. What is the step after this? What comes after this?
It must change to a flour.
To what?
To a flour or seed.
Does this look good? Are you happy with the way it's going?
When it's doing like this, I know that there's money in my pocket.
Something very interesting just happened. He had the crude reaction mixture of the hydrochloride salt. He added aqueous sodium hydroxide. It was a paste. There was some difficulty mixing the two, and then almost spontaneously, the mixture solidified into a powder. What pH do you want it to be?
7.
7. What is it now?
It's 13 now.
He's now filtering the neutralized reaction mixture, which is around pH 7, through a pillowcase. This is pH 7, right?
Yeah.
Is that a special pillowcase you use?
Yeah. You must use the white one, not the black one or the red one.
Why is that?
For the color.
Before you were working this job, did you have other jobs?
No. I was stealing cars.
So you went from stealing cars to
like this.
Organic synthesis.
Yeah.
So this is about 800 grams of methacrylone freebase. He filtered the freebase through a pillowcase because it's insoluble in water. It remained in the pillowcase while all of the other reactants, I hope, washed through the filter. 800 grams is 4,000 doses. It's ready to be pressed into tablets after it's dried. As sodium N-acetylanthranilate washed down the drain and up the great sewage ducts of Soweto, into the Indian Ocean and across the gills of what abalone remain in the coastal waters of South Africa, I felt a sense of gratitude for everything I'd learned and a newfound appreciation for the mysteries that remain.
It's opened just a new book for me now. Now I'm really interested in why he did it and how business or the warfare, whichever, we need to know the truth.
Wouter Basson continues to practice medicine with impunity and has started a new career as a motivational speaker.
Jy weet nie wie al gearresteer is nie, maar as jy pak keer aan, as jy sê dat behandel jou even mooier. Maak vir jou 'n dag jou rug vas nie. Jy moet net nie lyk as jy gearresteer word. Pak keer dit.
The ruthlessness of it all has never fully been exposed.